Encouragement will move everything. Well, this morning I got up and I went outside, and I tell you, my energy was down. I didn't really have anything. I wasn't inspired, and did a little morning routine, and I would invite you to check it out and try it, where I just take and move my body a little bit, and then I read something that lifts me up, and then I write. And as I was writing, I really wasn't feeling it, but God was talking to me about encouragement. And this encouragement was tough because I was lacking it. I didn't feel very encouraged. I didn't feel very inspired. And I started writing. And as I was writing it, I was like, I don't know if this will impact or whatever it is. And I started to think about my pop. And see, I used to have a conversation with my pop every single morning. I would call him or he would call me. If I called him first, he would be like, oh man, I've been up for like 8 hours. Got a full day of work done. What you been doing, boy? And then the next day I'd get him. I'd call him 5 minutes before he called me. And I'd be like, hey, I got 9 hours of work in. How about you? And he would give me all these messages of wisdom and inspiration and, like stories and little parables that he would tell me about. And most of them were about his life and his experience. He wasn't just speaking for theory. But I found that when I walked away from those conversations, it wasn't the wisdom, it wasn't the inspiration, it wasn't even the stories. What it was the encouragement. My pops would never, ever, ever tell me what to do. And sometimes I would want him to. I would ask him a question, and he wouldn't answer me. He wouldn't tell me what to do, but he would encourage me in every single thing that I did. He would give me the statement all the time. He'd say, boy, God's got you exactly where you need to be. And if he needed you someplace else, he'd have you there. He's big enough. And I would be frustrated at times, and I'd be like, Pop. But when I got off the phone, I realized this morning that the feeling that I had was more important than the messages, more important than the stories, more important than the advice. It was simply the encouragement. He wasn't telling me what to do. He was encouraging me exactly where I was. And so I sent the message out this morning, and as I sent it out, I was like, I don't know if this is going to be, the people are even going to react to it. I got a group of guys that I send out the production notes to, and if you want them, let me know. Send me a message, and I'll make sure that you get the production notes. And they're handwritten and chicken scratch, whatever it is, and in comes a text message. And it's from a huge mentor of mine, great friend of mine named David Hamilton. And he just said, love it. And then he gave me a little encouragement in the words. And I was like, oh, man. And I was on top of the world. And I was like, yeah, I got to get to the studio. I got to record. I got to do these things. It's amazing what a little tiny bit of encouragement can do. Every single one of you has the power to reach out to somebody today with a text message, a call, whatever it is. Maybe it's an email, and just encourage them, but make sure you do it specifically, because if you do not encourage specifically, it's as if it never, ever happened. And I went back and forth with Dave today and had some encouraging words back and forth. And what I let him know is the man that he is, 3, 4, 5 words from him can change the history of somebody's life. And every one of us has the power to do that too. And so I challenge every one of you to try that today. Encourage someone through text, through call, wherever it is. And what's amazing about it is Proverbs 28, the corresponding proverb for the corresponding day. As we go through these Inchstones, guess what? It hit on every cylinder. So why don't we get this party started?
Nothing more on my mind. I got to shine, so every day I grind. Work in the morning, work in the evening. We's achieving, cause we believing. It's for certain, we put the work in. We ain't stopped just because it's hurting. Right before your eyes, so it's coming to no surprise. The takeover is televised. Over and over and over again. Make no mistake, we continue to win. Defeat never known, cause I will not lose. They wanna mimic my moves, but can't walk in my shoes.
How can encouragement change the whole entire day? I could tell you this, like from my pops encouraging me. One time I was making pancakes, and I asked my daughter, I said, what kind of pancake do you want, baby? And she was like, I want a doggy pancake. And I was thinking, man, I could try. And so I made this doggy pancake. Didn't look anything like a dog, kind of looked like a llama. I handed it to her and she was like, Daddy, thank you so much. So I got confidence in me. She spoke life into me. She encouraged me that I had made a pancake that in my head looked like a llama, but to her, it looked like a puppy. And so I turned and I had all this confidence and I turned to my son. I said, what kind of pancake do you want, son? Any type you like. And he said, I want an Iron Man pancake, Daddy. And I freaked out. I was thinking in my head, there's no way that I can accomplish this Iron Man pancake that he's speaking of. My pops happened to be in the kitchen with me, and I turned to my pops. I looked at him like, what do I do? And he just looked at me and said 3 words that changed everything. He said, sell it, boy. And so I knew what I had to do. So I went in and I started cooking a pancake and started making this song, said, Iron Man pancakes, Iron Man pancakes, Iron Man pancakes, Iron Man pancakes. And as I was flipping the thing over and I was pouring the batter, it looked nothing like Iron Man. It looked like a big old blob, but I tried to do it at different times so it toasts different. And as I did, I flipped it over and I was just about done. I had been singing this song, Iron Man pancakes, Iron Man pancakes, Iron Man. And I turned to my son and I was like, are you ready, son? He said, I'm ready, Daddy. And I flipped the pancake over. It would look nothing like Iron Man. I put some butter on it, put some syrup on it. I slid it across the table and I was singing Iron Man pancakes, Iron Man pancakes. And then when it got to him, everything went silent. He just looked down at this blob of a pancake, then looked up at me with like a blank face, looked back down, and rose his eyes slowly towards me. And I was freaked out. I was like, oh man, the gig is up. And then he raised his hands in the air and he said, Iron Man pancake, Iron Man pancake, Iron Man pancake, Iron Man pancake. And he ate his Iron Man pancake that day. And what my dad did at that point was he encouraged me. He didn't tell me how to make the pancake. He just encouraged me to do what I knew in my heart to be able to do. And he gave me a little bit of encouragement. I tell you, that is better than any advice. It's better than any counsel. A lot of times we think that people come to us because they need to hear our wisdom, our knowledge, our prowess in business. And most of the time, the person just needs for you to hear them and then just encourage them exactly where they're at. You see, there's a couple of things in Proverbs 28, which we're doing the corresponding proverb for the corresponding day, and there's a couple things that they hit on today. And it was unbelievable because as I sat, and I was not that encouraged this morning, as I was reading, I wrote about encouragement, and then I sent out the message to my friends, and I got encouraged about a message of encouragement. And you know what? It lit me absolutely on fire. And so the basis of this is it takes strength, humility, courage, intelligence, wisdom, grit, love, and discernment to encourage someone else. And this hits in verse 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 13, 14, 17, 18, 21, 23, and 28. And I think that would make it pretty important. It breaks this down, all the traits that we have to have before we can go in and encourage. Let me say it again. It takes love, strength, humility, courage, intelligence, wisdom, grit, love, discernment, and discernment to encourage. Here's another one that it takes. It takes generosity. In verse 3, 8, 12, 15, 16, 20, 22, 24, 25, and 27, do you think that that's pretty important? 3,000-year-old wisdom tells us that it takes generosity to be able to encourage somebody. That generosity is about thinking about somebody else's well-being as opposed to just your own. But to be able to do that, you have to have, watch this, strength, humility, courage, intelligence, wisdom, grit, love, and discernment. Here's another bit of encouragement that just came through. I just got a text from my buddy Coach Gary, and he said, thanks for sending. Your pops was a special man. Love you, brother. See, this is encouragement. I get this encouragement and it fills me up. How many of you need that encouragement? I was just talking with my friend the other day, and she's a business owner. And she owns the salon Style and Grace in Las Vegas. If you haven't gone to it, it is the #1 salon in Las Vegas. We sold the Kelly Cardenas salon to her, and she started off as a minimum wage employee, and now she owns the company. Such an amazing story. Her and Shauna Martin But I talked to her and she said, you know what? The scariest thing as a business owner is no one's really encouraging you. You're encouraging every other person, but no one's encouraging you. You see, we have the power to be able to do that, and it'll just take a couple of words, but it takes generosity, again, to encourage people. This was something that hit. A common theme in Proverbs is to work your land. Now, working your land means that you just do what you were purposed to do, and when that happens, not only you're blessed, but other people are blessed around you. And in verse 19, when you work your land, it is easy to encourage, not instruct others. This hit me like a bag of bricks this morning, because a lot of times when I go through and I have experience, I want to instruct somebody else. This is what you need to do. But see, what happens is when you work your land and your land becomes so fertile that it creates so much abundance and so many great blessings in your life, it's so easy to encourage someone else because you're not worried about you getting what it is that you need. You're already filled up. And when you work your land, which is identify your gifts, then go give them away to every single person possible. When you work that land, it's so easy to be able to encourage somebody else. I have a phrase that I put on most social media that says, I love when my friends win. The reason why I love when my friends win is because then I don't have to be good at what they do. And when I have cool friends like I do, and if you've ever experienced the show, You Have to Meet My Friends, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. I have some of the greatest friends in the world. I have one of the greatest, best friends in the world in my brother, Rob Cardenas, one of the baddest personal injury attorneys on the planet. I just made a friend yesterday. And in making a friend yesterday, Matthew Kurbis, he's the subscription lawyer. Now, I don't have to be a subscription lawyer. I don't have to be a personal injury lawyer. I don't have to be a wills and trust lawyer because I have Nathaniel Hannaford. There's so many things that I don't have to be because I have the greatest friends in the whole entire world. I got Roy Tuscany, who has one of the greatest nonprofits in the world that helps spinal cord injury victims to experience things that they wouldn't otherwise experience in their life. But when you have this, it's amazing what can happen when you just work your land. It'll be so easy to encourage, not to instruct others. When you have the thought today to instruct someone on what to do, turn it and just encourage them. And finally, in verse 26, when you draw from the source, it is easy to pour it out. See, what I was always questioning is my pops throughout my whole entire life was encouraging every person in the world. Now, he didn't come from the greatest of situations. He grew up in a little mining town called Ophir, Utah, like no running water till he was 13, 14 years old. And my dad wasn't old. He was 68 when he passed away. He was born in 1956. So these things were available. They just didn't have them. But how could this man that came from all these things, came from all this childhood trauma, foster homes, abuse, all these things, alcoholism, drug abuse, all these things, how could he encourage everybody? And then I realized that he was tapped into an endless source. And he knew if he needed any more, then he knew where to go and get it. And that's what God calls us to do today, is just simply rest into him. Rest into him. He'll give us all the encouragement. And then we could go out and encourage every other person. Please, 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 every one of you, do not underestimate the power of a couple of words that you could say to your brother, your sister, your friend, the person in the grocery store, that you could literally change the course of history and break cycles in their life because of a couple of words of encouragement that you gave. It has the greatest ROI and it'll cost you absolutely nothing. That was Proverbs 28. I want to encourage every one of you. You're exactly where you need to be at the exact right time. And if God had you to be someplace else, he would have you there. In the words of my pops, boy, you're the greatest. So act accordingly. My name is Kelly Cardenas, and I'm officially off the hot seat. Peace, love, and soul.
On my mind, I got to shine, so every day I grind. Work in the morning, work in the evening. We's achieving, cause we believing. It's for certain, we put the work in.